Welcome back, beautiful people, to Elevation 44, where we discuss all things astrology and personal growth. It's your girl B, and if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back, family. So today we're diving into the second Aries new moon of the season, and this one is actually going to be a solar eclipse. So for those of you who were here with me last time, we discussed the Aries new moon that took place in March, and that took place at the 0 degree, right? At the very beginning degree of Aries. It also coincided with the start of the spring equinox. There was just a lot of messages there that we received. So if you did miss that message or that video, please go back and look at it, because it really ties into what we're going to discuss today, because as we have this second Aries new moon at the now 29th degree, the very last degree, which is also a critical degree in astrology, it really is the closing of a chapter or something that needs to end, and the solidification of a new beginning and something that's going to just really, I want to say, leap forward in terms of where you're supposed to be next. This all feels very tied to jumping a timeline, and that looks very different for most of us, because, you know, wherever Aries could be sitting on your own personal natal chart is where it's probably impacting you the most, and we'll get into that in a few. But I want to go ahead and just say, you know, I know today I am not on camera. I wasn't really feeling much up to being on camera, but I tried to, you know, kind of set the tone of this video with some calming vibes. So I went ahead and pointed that camera up at the sun, pointed it at the trees, so you can hear kind of nature at its best, because nature still finds a way to hum along no matter what's going on, and just to adapt and flow and bend with those changes. So that is, you know, a lot of what I was trying to bring into this video as we talk about this energy, because this energy is going to feel intense. It has already been feeling intense from that Aries new moon that started in March at the, you know, start of the spring equinox, at the start of, you know, the astrological new year. We've kind of been feeling it all Aries season. And so what has been revealed to you during that time? What are the things that have come up? Because the things that have come up during that time probably have felt very, very intense and just very in your face, not subtle, you cannot not ignore it. You know, you are excited and wanting to push and move forward, but you're realizing there's some old things that need to be released, because it is definitely holding you back and creating a lot of resistance in your life, you know. And I'm no, you know, exemption to this energy. This stuff has been personally impacting me in a way that I could have not seen, but also I'm grateful, because it's illuminating to me what I do need to change within in order to jump that timeline, in order to start that new beginning. Because ready or not, here the new beginning comes. And if you're not ready for it, and if you're dragging the old along, and the old mindsets and the old ways of doing things and everything that you're holding on to of the past, it really is going to be impactful in a detrimental way. So we're all about that personal growth. So this Aries new moon, let's get into a little bit of the facts of this Aries new moon, is also going to be a solar eclipse. That's why it is just doubly important. It's a solar eclipse. It's at the 29th degree, which is the last degree. And it is, there's just a lot of things about this new moon that just is standing out. So it's going to be happening on April 20th, and it's going to happen at 12:12 a.m. Eastern time, okay? 12:12 Eastern time. This eclipse is going to be a rare eclipse, and this eclipse is considered a hybrid eclipse. And what a hybrid eclipse is, it's just like the combination of two different types of eclipses. So the combo of this eclipse is a total eclipse. So it's going to present itself as a total eclipse at times, and then it's going to also present itself as an annular eclipse at times. And the annular eclipse is when you have like that ring of fire. So you kind of see, you know, the blockage of light, and then you see the ring that ring of fire, that sunlight that's in a ring around it. And the total eclipse is when it's completely blocked out. So it's going to oscillate between those two. And that's the combination of why this is a very rare eclipse. This is also an eclipse that is marking some permanent changes. Eclipses always mark permanent changes. Total eclipses really pack a punch, followed by annular eclipses. But I noticed that the total eclipses really, really are in your face energy that you cannot ignore. All right. So when I talk about endings for new beginnings, like, things are going to change. There is change. Change is imminent no matter what. And that's the one constant that we have in this life, is change. So we have to learn how to adapt and flow with the changes, or it's going to be very, very hard to continue trucking along, right? So that is what I want you to set in your mind, that change is here. And I know that over the past month, a lot of us have been getting triggered in certain ways into things that have been illuminated for us in terms of where we need to change and what needs to change, whether it's within us or externally outside of us. We're seeing that every day during the Aries season. We're having these uncomfortable moments come up where we have to pretty much reckon with what it is that needs to change. And for me personally, like I said, it really depends on what house this is hitting for you. But for me, the Aries energy spans over the 3rd and 4th house in my chart. So over the 3rd and the 4th house, I've been feeling it really in both places. And that's why I tend not to really look at whole sign astrology, because sometimes it really does span over multiple areas, and those are all impactful. So for me, the 3rd house, which is our communication, it's our mindset, how we think. A lot of my mindset has been challenged in ways of, like, I have to change my thinking and my perspective and how I communicate about certain things, right? And that's what's been coming up as uncomfortable, triggering moments for me to address how I leave this way of thinking and these old perspectives and old ways of being behind. And spanning over my 4th house, a lot of it is touching on my very familial relationships, okay? It's really touching on the home base, on family, and those have kind of merged together to create some really uncomfortable moments where I'm just like, oh man, like, this has got to change. Like, I have got to change in order to, be able to flow, because if not, I'm literally creating my own suffering. And that is something that I want to leave you with, because wherever this is sitting, Aries is sitting in your chart, it really is telling you to let go of the old. New changes are imminent, and you have to get on board, okay? You have to adjust. Now, Aries is always signifying new beginnings. That's why Aries starts off the zodiac procession. That's why Aries starts off, the new year. It's all about the new. It's spring. It coincides with spring. Just think of spring and all the newness that comes in, right? We have new leaves. We have, animals having new babies. We have, just a refresh of everything. And this new beginning is something that is going to happen whether or not you are on board with it. Just like the season changes and spring comes, whether you're ready for spring or not, spring's pushing forward, right? Spring comes, summer comes, fall comes, winter comes, and it's not whether you're ready for it. It's just nature doing its thing. It's cyclical. It is a part of what this whole thing is, right? Aries is also energy that is it can be immature at times, because it is the first, it is the newness, right? But it is very aggressive in terms of what it wants, how it pushes forward, and what it's going to do. Like, it just says, I want what I want, and that's it. And I am who I am, and that's it. And doesn't really pay attention to much else. And it can seem very like, oh my gosh, it has to happen now. It's really about just being restless and just being impatient at times in what needs to change or what needs to happen, right? So it's like this new beginning, this new chapter, it needs to happen now. It's got to happen now. I got to make it happen now. And it's all about that energy of now. But again, flowing is what's important. Recognizing what needs to change, but also flowing into those changes is going to be equally important. One of the other things that is allowing this eclipse to feel very intense, because eclipses are already intense on their own, right? And you have Pluto in the mix, right? And we talk about this whole thing with tied to new beginnings, right? And Pluto just moved into Aquarius during Aries season, okay? So this is the marker of new beginnings, especially on a generational level, like on a large scale. And we're just going to start seeing the beginning stages of that with Pluto in Aquarius. But it coincided with the start of the spring equinox and that first Aries new moon at the 0 degree back in March. So Pluto in the mix is indicative of the new changes that are about to take place, but also Pluto is squaring, okay, this eclipse, this new moon, right? So that already brings an intensity, and it's not squaring in terms of signs, but it's squaring in terms of degrees. So it left that 29th degree of Capricorn, is at that 0 degree of, of Aquarius. And with that, you're still feeling the energy, maybe not as impactful as that Capricorn energy would have been, but it's still there. And that square is creating intensity. It's creating dark emotions. It's creating, deep emotions. And so these are the things that you can find yourself, kind of oscillating with as this energy pushes in. You can find yourself in these dark moments, in these dark thoughts, in these deep emotions, and wondering, where is this intensity coming from? And that is really playing a factor, because Pluto is about the power and control, us wanting to have control over the things that are happening, right? And when we don't feel like we're in control of that, and we feel that loss of power, sometimes that can, really throw us into those darker spaces. But again, the flowing is important. This new moon is also going to be conjuncting Jupiter, right? And Jupiter touches things to expand them. Whenever Jupiter comes into the mix, it touches so it can expand on it. So this energy, however intense it feels, however joyful it feels, however, emotional it feels, Jupiter then just puts, the expansion sauce on it, and it just feels even more intense, or even more joyful, or even more emotional. So Jupiter is expanding this energy in a big way. This can also this can also lead to that jump that we're talking about, the jumping of the timelines, but it could be like huge leaps, like forward, huge leaps, leaving the old timeline behind, jumping into a new timeline ahead. But it's not like a step or 2 or 3, it's like a jump, feeling like you have to like leap off the cliff. And again, Aries makes us feel impatient, and that things need to happen and happen now. And sometimes those leaps are out of our control, and sometimes those leaps are us trying to control it. So we have to be aware of the differences, right? What has been working and what needs to end? What needs to end? Because something needs to end for this new chapter to really take shape. And so that is really what you need to be asking yourself during this time. That should be illuminated over Aries season. You should have been seeing the clear signs of that all Aries season. The Mercury Retrograde is happening just a day after this eclipse or this new moon. And Mercury is in the stubborn sign of Taurus. And I say stubborn sign of Taurus because this Mercury retrograde is really going to push us in terms of our thinking and our mindsets and our stubbornness around being fixated or being stubborn in certain ways, being locked into certain mindsets or beliefs or habits, and being slow to move when we need to move, when we know we need to do something different, and just being kind of stuck in that space. So it's really going to challenge us there. It also, this Mercury retrograde, or Mercury in general, is going to be conjunct Uranus, which is the planet of radical changes, is the planet of talking about making major leaps and shifts and changes that you don't see coming. It's about, being just completely surprised and taken off into a different direction with Uranus. And so this conjunction with Mercury and Uranus at the time of this eclipse or this new moon can bring news into form of surprising news. I don't know why I said newses. In surprising news. And also, again, forcing us to take a radical shift in our thinking so we can get out of those fixed mindsets, okay? So this new moon, I want you to really not think about doing rituals. I don't want you to think about, any of that type of stuff. I really want you to think about setting your intentions on what needs to happen going forward for you. What were those triggers? What were the things that were coming up over the past few weeks from that first new moon in Aries at the 0 degree in March till now? And how do you need to change, or what needs to change in order for you to really embrace and go forward in the way that you know that you need to? Because again, things are going to shift radically whether you're on board or not. So setting your intentions and helping to co-create the experience with the universe, instead of just kind of being resistant and fighting along and keeping yourself stagnant. So that is what I would challenge you to do during this eclipse. And there are some crystals that I think that could help you in terms of embracing these new beginnings. And I know I haven't mentioned crystals in a minute, but I am going to leave you with 3 that can be very supportive during this time. The first is a carnelian, the next is a moonstone, and the last is citrine, okay? And then if you want to work with an herb that can help kind of cleanse out your space and help cleanse you and just your environment, and also help bring some clarity, I would definitely work with rosemary in terms of that. So to me, it's all about setting your intentions. It's really about cleansing, getting your mind clear so that you are welcoming with open arms whatever is to come in your life, okay? And I will also say that, I have a whole line of teas and products that can help you with this Aries season, this Aries new moon, the Taurus season, the following season after that, and the following seasons after that. So I always leave that link down below in the description box. And so if you are looking for some products to support you, please go on ahead and check that out. I will also leave the link to your own natal chart so that you can, see where maybe this new moon is happening for you in your life, and what it's illuminating, and the new beginnings that are happening in that arena. So go on ahead and check that out as well. And please leave a comment down below on how you are approaching this this Aries new moon solar eclipse. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. And again, take it easy, flow through the changes, and I look forward to seeing you all or talking to you all in the Taurus season video, which is going to be dropping soon because we have Taurus season right on the heels of this. All right, take care, guys. I love you.